Ernesto, si no revuelves el chile se va a pegar a la olla, hombre.
Doy gracias por darme la fortaleza para superar mi adicción.
You know, it seems like every few years, God throws a disaster this way.
I can see that the earthquake caused a lot of damage.
Nothing we can't fix with enough time. And materials. Unfortunately, one of those is in short supply.
'30th of December, 1603. Lopez has just returned from a nearby village, and with him came a group he says will follow him and help us with construction. There was something strange about his behavior. I attributed it to the long journey through the jungle. That night, however, he admitted what had been bothering him. "They followed me," he whispered. "The others." He walked off. I spent that sleepless night worrying about his deviations toward madness.
Cállate ya.
This is an official document issued recently by the Holy See. In consideration of this mission having been badly damaged by an unusually violent and entirely unexpected volcanic tremor, they sent requests to every Spanish-speaking diocese, asking them to consider sending missionaries to restore and rebuild this holy site.
Ana y José, las llamas jóvenes y osadas, subieron más y más por la montaña.
Merece un castigo.
Te lo aseguro. Si se comprueba algo, así será.
Now this is a fascinating concept. The Miracle Club. Come meet people that share your beliefs, devotion, and taste for adventure. Create lifelong memories as you travel the world together. It's a Christian singles group dedicated to visiting pilgrimage sites.
Necesitamos tu luz, Señor, en todo aspecto.
Padre Celestial.
Te doy gracias por darme la fortaleza.
¡Claro! Esto fue lo que siempre...
So there's a crypt around here somewhere?
A secret crypt.
Why secret? If Lopez is involved, there's bound to be a trick.
That's a solid theory. What about you? Did you find anything?
I got a pamphlet. 7 steps closer to God.
Who knows? Maybe it'll help. Strange there are only 7 stations. This must be based on an older tradition. Jesus takes up the cross, falls the first time, meets his mother. Then Veronica wipes his face before he falls the second time. Then he is crucified and finally entombed.
Feels like a mausoleum.
Means we're on the right track, right? Jonah, I feel something. We're getting close. Let's look around for signs of Lopez.
These notes were written by the founder of the Sector 7. They're talking about funds allocated for renovations to the library.
This cross, it looks like it's from the 17th century. The door closed and a silence settled, so great and so vast I held my breath for fear of breaking it. Lopez turned to me, his eyes wild, a smile screwed across his face. He came toward me, arms outstretched, and for a moment fear flickered across my heart. But he pulled me close, his fingers digging into my shoulders. "I found it," he whispered in my ear, and releasing me, he wandered through this room. Walls of pure jade reaching up to the heavens, completely covered in intricate etched mosaics and carved figures. I followed at a distance as he approached an altar and watched as he lifted a silver box from it. The others are worried that Brothers de la Cruz and Serrano will not return. I have so far maintained they will, that they always have. But in my heart, I am beginning to believe we have seen the last of them, and that grief weighs heavily. We will continue their work. Either they will return to find we have not forgotten the teachings, or they will look down on us from above and bless our continued labors. And under his wings you may seek refuge. Under his wings. And under his wings you may seek refuge. And an eclipse. "25th of December, 1603. It has been 4 days since we turned away from the city. We traveled in silence and in circles, guided by a confusion of grief, relief, and celebration. Lopez and I exited the jungle and landed in a clearing, under the gaze of several faces carved into the side of the mountain. Lopez had an episode, as he later called it. He threw himself in front of the faces and screamed for forgiveness. The heaviest sin on his heart was abandoning Perez to the strange warriors. They had grown close over the journey. Try as I might, I could not console him, so I built a fire and waited, as he decreed his actions and pleaded for forgiveness from the silent stone faces. 26th of December, 1603. Lopez woke me, having already prepared a Spartan breakfast. "This is where we were meant to be," he said, a cold determination in his voice, so very different from how he acted just the day before. I finished my meal as he spoke of holy retribution, how he had acted in error, but now God had put his hands on his shoulders and shown him the path to walk. "We will spread the true word of God from this small mission," he said, pointing to an adobe building just beyond the stone faces. "We will prepare the path for the chosen one to follow, for only he who does will be worthy of this box." Jonah! This book describes a stranger's arrival at the mission. He founded the Sect of Seven. Maybe that was Lopez.
Like on the pamphlet. We must be getting close. We should keep looking.
John, son of Zebedee, one of Jesus' apostles, also called the beloved disciple. He and his brother James were known for their impetuousness and temper, which prompted Christ to start calling them Boanerges, sons of thunder. John is credited with writing 5 books of the New Testament: the Gospel of John, the 3 Epistles of John, and the Book of Revelation. He's the patron saint of love and loyalty, as well as writers, publishers, and scholars. One of his symbols is a serpent in a cup, which is linked to his patronage of victims of poisoning and burns. The sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. Jonah, those 2 Bible quotes. The sun will be darkened, and under his wings you may seek refuge.
What does it mean?
That's it. Look for a heron and an eclipse. This roughly drawn sketch shows St. John repelling a demon attack. Perhaps they plan to have this as one of the frescoes in the mission. Brother de la Cruz appeared one day, emerging from the jungle, breathing new life into the mission. There were just the 3 of us when he arrived, and Sister Dorothea had been ill for many weeks. He and his associate began to work that first day. By the next week, de la Cruz had recruited a workforce of 3 dozen. They have prepared the bell tower and worked the fields, planting crops. Brother de la Cruz aims to make us self-sufficient. We'd spent so long alone out here, I'd worried we'd lose God's ear. Lo and behold, we not only had his ear, but he sent another to act as his hands as well. Stone faces weep as Jesus creeps along the dolorous path. Too many died. More will still, and more will still, and more will still. His light leads the way. There's a whole mural under here. The true cross.
Is that what I think it is?
The silver box. It's unmistakable.
Jesus takes up the cross. These are the stations of the cross. But there's a bunch missing.
Before 1600, there were only 7. This could date back to the time of Lopez.
This is one of his clues.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing he does.
All right. Let's see if we can find a cross lying around here somewhere. When we find the box, how do we get the key back from Dominguez?
We'll find a way.
Found something?
Yeah. Jesus takes up the cross. Help me lift this.
That actually worked.
Looks like a long way down. Let's see where this leads. Station 2. Jesus falls the first time.
There's an inscription.
Have to use the light beam to follow the stations of the
dum
cross.
lucem habitis.
Walk while you have the light.
That did it. I wouldn't want to be buried in here. My head tossed behind a cross somewhere.
Walk while you have the light, so that the darkness may not overtake you,
Sounds like a hint.
or a threat.
This looks like the Virgin Mary.
Station 3. Jesus meets his mother.
The mirror looks dusty. I'll give you a boost. Hey, it worked. The light leads this way. What happened to these people?
It looks like the light activated something.
Laura! Are you all right? You're lucky it was a little rusted.
This must be Station 4.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at these frescoes. Have to use the light beam to follow the stations of the cross. Look, someone else got close. He wasn't as lucky. Have to use the light beam to follow the stations of the cross. There's a woman in this one. Have to use the light beam to follow the stations of the cross.
These These people look like they were tortured, hung up in the ceiling.
I don't think this was just a crypt. I'll get it.
Station 5. Jesus falls a second time. Laura, is that what I think it is?
The Stations of the Cross again.
But with mummies. Isn't this sacrilegious?
Not necessarily. They could have been paying the ultimate homage.
Or they were just sick.
This must be Station 6. Have to use the light beam to follow the Stations of the Cross.
Looks like a church. These ones are posed like monks.
Have to use the light beam to follow the Stations of the Cross.
So Lopez staged the whole crucifixion with mummies? Seems sacrilegious.
I think this was a place of worship for an underground sect.
Literally. I guess this is a sect from the pamphlet.
They're carrying him. They're lifting him.
This is disgusting. I'm glad I wasn't around when Lopez was.
She's wiping his face, I think.
That inscription. Do not
Jesus,
fear those who
nailed to
kill
the
body,
cross.
but are unable to kill the soul. Is that meant for us?
Don't let Lopez get in your head. He's caused enough trouble already.
Okay, let's do this.
Think he's taking up the cross. He's carrying the cross. Have to use the light beam to follow the Stations of the Cross.
Looks like a church. These ones are posed like monks.
They're carrying him. They're lifting him. She's wiping his face, I think.
So Lopez staged the whole crucifixion with mummies? Seems sacrilegious.
Jesus, I think this was a place of worship for an underground sect.
Literally.
Jesus, nailed to the cross. Think he's taking up the cross.
This is disgusting.
He's carrying the cross.
Lopez was. That inscription. Do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul. Is that meant for us?
Don't have to use the light beam
do
to
this.
follow the Stations of the Cross. She's wiping his face, I think. They're lifting him. They're carrying him. He's carrying the cross. Think he's taking up the cross. Have to use the light beam to follow the Stations of the Cross.